My dear students, in this session, we discuss about features of democracy. We have already discussed why we define democracy, the origin of the word democracy, and also simple definition of democracy. In this simple definition, we have raised some important questions. These important questions are leading to the features of democracy. We can see the features of democracy. First important feature, major decisions by elected leaders. In a democracy, the major decision should be taken only by the elected rulers. We can analyze the situation by the experience of our neighboring country, Pakistan. Okay, there we see a military coup. Military coup, what is military coup? The forcefully capturing the power from the already existing government, already democratically elected government. That is called a military coup. In Pakistan, the military coup is led by General Pervez Musharraf in October 1999. He overthrew the democratically elected government and declared himself the chief executive of the country. Later, he changed his designation to president, and in 2002, he held a referendum in the country that guaranteed him a 5-year extension. Okay, what we can see is here, he became the chief executive of the country. Chief executive of the country. Later he became to president. He has the power to become the president. Then what he did is that a referendum. What is referendum? Referendum is a direct decision by the people in a particular decision, or the electorate. They try to give yes or no to his government. Then he got extended to how much? Again 5 years. But this referendum actually a democratic one. But this referendum, the medias and human rights activists and also democratic activists against this particular referendum, they are arguing that this referendum was based on fraud and malpractices. Okay, this Pakistan media, human rights organizations and democracy activists against this one. Okay, even though he extended to 2002, but it was only a kind of malpractices, not by the actual will of the people, but he's manipulated the referendum. That was the argument raised by the Pakistani media, human rights organization and democracy activists. In 2002, what happened? He issued a legal framework order that amended the constitution of Pakistan. Pakistan has a constitution. It was a democratically elected government. It was democracy. It had a constitution. What happened to that constitution? It was amended by legal framework order. What is this legal framework order? According to the legal framework order, the president can dismiss the national and provincial assemblies. What do you think about the national and provincial assemblies? These assemblies are headed by the democratically elected people. But the president can dismiss at any time with a new law, legal framework order. And the work of the civilian cabinet means those who are elected. Then this elected cabinet is supervised by National Security Council, which is dominated by military officers. Who was appointing these military officials? Pervez Musharraf. Okay. Pakistan has had elections elected representatives, but their power is very less. They have no power. Election is happening to national and provincial assemblies. After this 2002 already, after this national framework order, Pakistan has had elections. But what happened? No power is there. Final power rested with military officers and General Musharraf himself. Okay. There are number of reasons to call Parvez Musharraf rule is a non-democratic one. But we take one issue. There is democratically elected government is there, but no power. Then this happens in the dictatorship and monarchies. We cannot call this a democracy. Only elected government is not needed. What is all needed? We needed a democratic government. We need a elected people. They should have the power. In a democracy, the final decision making power must rest with those elected by the people. That is the important function. There are a lot of countries around us. By having a formal government that is elected by the people with less powers, we cannot call them which one democratic. In a democracy, the final decision making power must be rest with those elected by the people. Next feature, free and fair electoral competition. In order to understand free and fair electoral competition, we try to analyze two cases. First one is China. In China, elections are regularly held after every 5 years for electing country's parliament. What is the name of Chinese parliament? It is National People's Congress. In Chinese it is Congo Renmin Daibyo Dahui. The National Congress consists of 3,000 members elected from different places of the country. And from the army also elect their own leaders. They can decide the leaders of the country. The National Congress, National People's Congress can decide the rulers of the country. The government is formed always. You just see that. Even though this National People's Congress decides the president of the country, but what is there? Always it is decided by whom? Only Chinese Communist Party. Why? If you want to be a candidate in the election, you should be approved by Chinese Communist Party. Okay. Before contesting elections, a candidate needs the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. Then always in rule Communist Party. No choice to the people. Election is there, but they have to vote for Communist Party or its allied parties. In 2002 election, it is decided by the candidates are decided by the Communist Party and 8 allied parties to them. That is a kind of situation happening in communist China. Next case is about Mexico. Since its independence, the Mexico holds election every 6 years to elect its president. But until 2000, what happened? Every election was won by a party called PRI, Institutional Revolutionary Party. What about the opposition parties? Opposition parties did contest elections, but never managed to win. Why? Because the dirty tricks played by PRI. A lot of dirty tricks. If you are a government employee in Mexico, you have to participate in the meetings of PRI. If you are a teacher in Mexico, you have to force their parents to vote for PRI. Sometimes in the last minute, they change the polling stations. People face a lot of difficulty to cast their votes. What about the media in Mexico? They ignored, they neglected the works of opposition parties. They only criticized them. A kind of situation. People cannot defeat the ruling party. You just see the two examples. One is having election. All the two cases, elections are there. But what is there? No choice is there. In China, ruling party selects its leaders. People have to vote for them. The second case, choice is there. But they cannot defeat the ruling party because of the huge sum of money, because of the dirty tricks played by the PRI. We just see that. Then what is needed? What should be the feature of a democracy? A democracy must be based on a free and fair election, where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. Okay. If you are a ruling party, there should be chances to lose your chance in the next time. Then only the democracy works. You are playing dirty tricks and win again and again. We cannot call that a democracy. Okay, this is about the second feature of democracy. Next, one person, one vote, one value. Until 2015, Saudi Arabia, women did not have the right to vote. Okay. Estonia has made its citizenship rules in such a way that people belong to Russian minority find it difficult to get the right to vote. Estonia is very near to Russia. There are Russians are there, but they are in a very small group. But they are denied the citizenship. You got it. The same country, denial of rights of a citizen. Then Fiji, okay, you can see that the electoral system is such that the vote of an indigenous Fiji was more value than of Indian Fiji. Earlier, Indians were working in Fiji, therefore a particular people there arise Indian Fijian. Then what is that? They became they are minority there, Indian Fijis. Then they are neglected. The indigenous Fiji has more value of an Indian Fijian. Then fundamental principle of democracy is what? Political equality. Okay. Universal adult franchise is very important. All the adults should get their vote and it should have equal value. In a democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. That is very important. That is the third important feature of democracy. We see the fourth one. Rule of law and respect for rights. Here we analyze the case of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe attained independence from the white minority rule in 1980. Since then, the country has been ruled by ZANU-PF. The party that led the freedom struggle. Its leader, who was its leader? Robert Mugabe. Ruled the country since independence. He ruled the country since independence, Robert Mugabe. President Mugabe was very popular. But what he was doing? Lot of unfair practices. He's a popular leader, but doing unfair practices. Over the years, his government changed the constitution. Why they changed the constitution? Several times, to increase the power of the president and make him less accountable, less responsible. No need to give lot of things to the people. Then change the constitution again and again. Public protest and demonstrations against the government were declared illegal. Nobody can speak about the government. If some press is also denied freedom. If you talk against the government, you will be in trouble. Therefore, freedom was not there. But he was forced out of the office in 2017. Can we call the rule of Robert Mugabe until 2017 is a democratic one? We cannot call. People's rights are crushed. No opposition party can work. They were harassed. They cannot conduct meetings. It became a huge problem. Therefore, this opposition party is very important in a democratic setup. A democratic government rules within limits. A democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' rights. These citizens' rights are very important. Nobody should be above the law. Everybody must below the law and respect the rights of the citizens. This is a very important fourth feature and also the last feature of democracy. Now we summarize the definition. We have already discussed. Democracy is a form of government which the rulers are elected by the people. Okay. In a democracy, what is the function? The final decision making power must be rested with those elected by the people. The second one, a democracy must be based on a free and fair election where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. The third one we have already seen. In a democracy, each adult citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. A democratic government must within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' rights. This is a summary of this one. From the simple definitions, we have identified these things. Decision-making power must be rested with those elected by the people. Democracy must be based on free and fair election. Each adult citizen must have one vote and one value. That is a very important thing. A democratic government rules within the limits. Okay. They have to respect the rights of citizens. They should be below the law. This is the summary definition. Thank you very much. Next we discuss the arguments for and against democracy. Thank you. Thank you very much.